Listen to this. Just listen to it. FireRed and LeafGreen came out in 2004. If you grew up with them, you probably still remember exactly how Pallet Town, Lavender Town, and Route 1 sounds. Now tell me why, when the music starts, it does that thing. And you know the thing I mean. That thing where, even though it's just a Game Boy, you still feel it in your chest. And here's the thing. This wasn't some high-end audio setup. It couldn't do orchestra, it couldn't do surround sound. It could barely hold a full song without compressing it into something that sounds kind of tinny if you listen closely. Well, I've been trying to figure this out, because here's what's weird. The Game Boy Advance was not a powerful machine. It was a $99 handheld that ran on 2 AA batteries. The sound chip was basically held together with good intentions, and yet, it still feels like this. How did a $99 handheld make something that hits harder than most movie scores do today? That's what we're going to figure out, and I promise it's going to be simpler than you think. So let's start with what the Game Boy Advance was actually working with. The sound chip had a handful of basic building blocks, simple wave shapes. Think of them like the musical equivalent of primary colors. No blending, no layering, no lush strings, just tones. And Junichi Masuda, who composed the original Red and Blue music back in 1996, came back to adapt it for the remakes. Had to build everything you hear out of just those tones. Here's the thing that's kind of wild. The constraints didn't just limit what he could do, they shaped how he wrote. When you can't layer 60 instruments, every single note has to earn its place. There's nowhere to hide. And what that means for us as listeners is we hear everything. The melody is exposed, naked almost. Take Pallet Town for instance. Now imagine this exact melody, but buried under strings or drums or ambient pads, reverb, cinematic swells, like this. Hear how clearly the Game Boy one cuts through? There's nothing fighting it, and our brains were really good at latching onto a clear, uncluttered melody. Okay, different energy. Lavender Town is genuinely unsettling. And it's not trying to be scary in a horror movie way, it's something quieter than that. Just listen to what it's doing. It keeps almost resolving, like this note right here. It sounds like it wants to land somewhere comfortable. Listen again. But instead, it just hangs there, like it's about to land somewhere safe, and then it doesn't. It just keeps hovering. On a full orchestra, that might sound dramatic, maybe overwrought, but on this tiny speaker, it sounds lonely, like something you half remember from a dream. And I think that's the key to all of this. The limitation isn't a bug. The thinness of the sound, the slight compression, the way it feels like it's coming from somewhere far away, that's doing the emotional work that a $200 million film score can't do. Because a film score sounds like it's trying. This just sounds like a memory. Now don't get me wrong, modern Pokémon music is technically incredible. Full orchestration, live instruments, real production value. And yet, there it is again. A lot of people, myself included, feel like it doesn't quite stick the same way. And I've been trying to think about why. Part of it is just nostalgia. I'm not gonna pretend that's not real. If you grew up with Sword and Shield, those tracks probably hit differently than they hit me. But part of it is something more interesting. When music fills all the space, when it's lush and rich and complete, there's nothing for your imagination to fill in. The Game Boy Advance tracks had gaps, little silences, thin textures, implied notes, and your brain, being the incredible pattern completion machine that it is, filled in those gaps. You co-created the music in a way, and the things that we help create, even subconsciously, stick harder. We remember them differently. FireRed and LeafGreen are coming to the Switch in just a couple days, maybe even today depending on when I post this video. And a lot of people are about to hear this music again for the first time in years. and I think it's going to hit exactly the same way it did in 2004. Maybe harder. Because these songs aren't just songs anymore. They're timestamps. Every time you hear Pallet Town, you're also hearing the room you were in, the age you were, the version of yourself who thought these games were the most important thing in the world. Masuda didn't just write music for a game, he wrote music that was going to grow with people. And I don't think he could have done that with a full orchestra and $5 million. Sometimes the limitation is the point. Anyway, I'm gonna go play through Kanto again for research purposes.